The manila envelope crinkled in my hands as I stared at the wedding invitation that had arrived 3 days ago. My wife Emma's name was printed in elegant gold script beneath another man's. Victor Blackwood, heir to the Blackwood Industries fortune. The ceremony was set for today, October 15th, exactly 2 months after Emma had filed for divorce. 2 months after she'd looked me in the eye and said, "Noah, I need space to find myself." I'd believed her then, trusted her tears when she claimed our 3-year marriage had become suffocating, even signed the separation papers without a lawyer, thinking we could work things out during our trial separation. What a fool I'd been. The private investigator's photos were spread across my kitchen table like evidence at a crime scene. Emma and Victor at intimate dinners. Victor's hands on her waist at charity galas. The two of them entering his penthouse at midnight, emerging the next morning with satisfied smiles. The timestamps showed it all started 6 months ago. 6 months of lies, of Emma coming home late with work emergencies, of her sudden interest in expensive jewelry and designer clothes that my architect's salary couldn't afford. My phone buzzed. Emma's text, "Noah, please sign the final papers today. My lawyer will pick them up at 2 p.m. I'm starting fresh and need closure." Starting fresh, with my replacement already warming the altar, I picked up the divorce decree, my signature still blank at the bottom. The settlement was generous. She'd take nothing, wanted nothing, claimed nothing. How noble of her, considering she was marrying a millionaire in 4 hours. The irony wasn't lost on me. Emma had always been ambitious, always reaching for something beyond our comfortable suburban life. She'd met Victor at the marketing firm where she worked, handling his company's advertising campaigns. I'd even met him once at a company party. Charming, sophisticated, everything I apparently wasn't. But there was something Emma didn't know. Something I'd discovered 3 weeks ago that changed everything. My phone rang. Emma's sister Jessica, the only family member who still talked to me. "Noah, I'm so sorry about today." Jessica's voice was strained. "Emma made me promise not to tell you, but I can't stand watching her do this to you." "What are you talking about, Jessie?" "The wedding. She's been planning it for months, Noah. Months. Even before she asked for the divorce. She's been telling everyone you two grew apart naturally, but..." "But what?" "She took half the money from your joint savings 3 weeks ago, said she needed it for transitional expenses. Then yesterday, I overheard her on the phone with Victor. She was laughing about how easy it was to manipulate you into signing away your rights to the house." My blood went cold. The house? "Noah, you need to read those divorce papers carefully. She's not taking nothing. She's already taken everything that matters. The house deed, your shared investments, even your savings. It's all been transferred quietly over the past 2 months." I hung up and grabbed the divorce papers, reading them with fresh eyes. Buried in legal jargon on page 12, I found it. Emma retained rights to all marital assets acquired during the transition period. The house we'd bought together, the savings account, even my vintage car collection in the garage. She'd played me perfectly. The sweet, apologetic wife seeking an amicable divorce while systematically robbing me blind. But Emma had made one crucial mistake. 3 weeks ago, during one of my sleepless nights, I'd followed her, watched her meet with Victor's business rival Thomas Archer at a hotel bar, listened through the thin walls as she sold Victor's company secrets, merger plans, acquisition targets, private financial data, information she'd accessed through his computers during their intimate evenings. Emma wasn't just cheating on me with Victor. She was using him to build her own fortune, then planning to destroy him, too. I had it all recorded. Photos, audio files, financial records showing mysterious deposits into her personal account. Emma was playing a game far more complex than simple adultery. And now it was my turn to play. I walked to my closet and pulled out my best suit. The navy blue one Emma always said made me look distinguished. Today, she'd see just how distinguished I could be. The wedding was at the Grand Metropolitan Hotel, a venue I'd actually designed the renovations for 2 years ago. I knew every entrance, every service corridor, every security blind spot. I tucked the unsigned divorce papers into my jacket pocket alongside a flash drive containing Emma's real secrets. The recorder in my shirt pocket was already running. My reflection in the hallway mirror showed a man transformed. Gone was the trusting husband who'd signed separation papers without question. In his place stood someone who understood the game Emma had been playing. Someone ready to win. The hotel was only 20 minutes away. The ceremony would start at 3 p.m., with the reception immediately following. I'd calculated my timing perfectly. Arrive during the vows, when all eyes would be forward, when security would be relaxed, when Emma would be at her most vulnerable. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door, then paused. On the kitchen counter sat the photo from our own wedding day 3 years ago. Emma in white, radiant with what I'd thought was love. Me beside her, young and hopeful, believing we'd grow old together. I picked up the frame and studied her face, searching for signs of the deception I'd missed. Had she been planning this even then? Or had Victor simply offered her a better version of the life I couldn't provide? It didn't matter anymore. I set the photo face down and walked out, closing the door on the life Emma had destroyed and the man who'd been foolish enough to trust her. The drive to the hotel passed in a blur of city streets and bitter memories. Every red light gave me time to think, to plan, to prepare for what I was about to do. Emma wanted closure? She wanted to start fresh. She was about to get exactly what she deserved. The Grand Metropolitan's valet took my keys with professional courtesy, not recognizing the architect who'd spent months perfecting this building's elegant facade, the same facade behind which Emma was about to marry the man she'd betrayed me for. I straightened my tie and walked through the marble lobby, past flower arrangements that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. The wedding party was already assembled, 200 guests celebrating Emma's new beginning. They had no idea they were about to witness her ending. The ballroom doors stood 20 feet tall, carved mahogany with gold inlays, my design from the renovation. Classical music drifted through the gaps, violin strings weaving through hushed conversations. I checked my watch. 3:17 p.m. The ceremony was already underway. Perfect. I slipped through the service entrance I'd specified during construction, emerging behind the decorative columns that flanked the main aisle. 200 guests sat in pristine rows, their attention fixed on the altar where Emma stood in silk and lace worth more than my monthly mortgage payment. She looked radiant, lying suited her. Victor stood beside her in a custom tuxedo, his family's old money evident in every tailored line. The officiant's voice carried across the room. If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace. The silence stretched for exactly 3 seconds before I stepped into the aisle. Actually, I have something to say. Every head turned. Gasps rippled through the crowd like dominoes falling. Emma's face went white, then red, then white again. Victor's confident smile flickered. Noah? Emma's voice cracked. What are you doing here? I walked down the aisle slowly, enjoying the weight of 200 stares. Congratulations, Emma. You look beautiful. Almost as beautiful as you did at our wedding 3 years ago. Murmurs erupted. Victor stepped forward, his jaw tight. Sir, this is a private ceremony. I'll have to ask you to leave. Oh, but I'm family, I smiled, reaching into my jacket. Emma's husband. Well, almost ex-husband. She's been so eager for me to sign these divorce papers. I pulled out the manila envelope, holding it high enough for the front rows to see. She texted me this morning, demanding I sign them today. Said she needed closure to start fresh. Emma found her voice. Noah, please don't do this. Not here. Do what? I'm here to give you exactly what you wanted. I continued walking until I stood at the altar steps. You wanted these papers signed? You wanted closure? You wanted to start fresh with Victor. The officiant stepped back, clearly out of his depth. Victor's security detail moved closer, but I raised my hands peacefully. I'm not here to stop the wedding. I'm here to bless it. I turned to address the crowd. You see, Emma and I have been separated for 2 months. She told me she needed space to find herself. And look, she found Victor. Nervous laughter scattered through the room. Emma's mother clutched her pearls in the third row. But there's something Emma forgot to mention in her rush to the altar. I reached into my other pocket and pulled out the flash drive. She's been very busy during our separation. Very creative. Noah, stop. Emma's whisper carried surprising menace. Stop what? I'm being supportive. You always said I didn't support your ambitions enough, but I was wrong. You're incredibly ambitious. Brilliant, even. Victor's confusion was evident. What is he talking about, Emma? Tell him, sweetheart, I encouraged. Tell Victor about your meetings with Thomas Archer. Tell him about the confidential merger documents you photographed from his laptop. Tell him about the $50,000 Archer deposited into your Cayman Islands account last week. The silence was absolute now. Victor's face had gone rigid. Emma's mask finally slipped. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? I held up the flash drive. Bank records, photos, audio recordings, including your conversation with Archer 3 nights ago, where you promised him Victor's acquisition targets for next quarter. Victor turned to Emma, his voice deadly quiet. Is this true? Victor, I can explain. The explanation is simple, I interrupted. Emma's not just marrying you for love. She's been selling your business secrets to your biggest competitor while systematically draining my assets to fund her new life. She's playing both of us. The crowd was captivated now, a real-life drama unfolding before their eyes. Several guests had their phones out, recording. You want to know the beautiful part? I continued. Emma convinced me to sign away my rights to our house, our savings, even my car collection, all while she was planning this wedding. She told me she wanted nothing from our marriage, just a clean break. Turns out she'd already taken everything through legal loopholes buried in the separation agreement. Victor's fists clenched. Emma, answer me. Did you steal from my company? Emma's composure cracked completely. You don't understand the pressure I was under. Noah could never give me the life I deserved. I saw an opportunity. To betray both of us, Victor finished coldly. But here's where it gets interesting, I said, enjoying the moment. Emma didn't just steal from me and Victor. She stole from her own wedding fund. I turned to address Victor directly. Did you pay for this ceremony, Victor? The flowers, the venue, the catering? Because according to my bank records, Emma withdrew $60,000 from our joint account last month. Money I earned designing this very building. Emma's legs wobbled. 2 bridesmaids moved to support her. So technically, I continued, I paid for my ex-wife's wedding to her new husband, whom she's been systematically robbing. It's almost poetic. Victor stepped away from Emma like she'd become toxic. Security, escort Mrs. Cole from the premises. Immediately. Wait, I held up my hand. I said I came to bless this union, and I meant it. I opened the envelope and pulled out the divorce papers, then set them on the altar's marble surface. From my pen, I signed my name with a flourish. There. You're officially free to marry, Emma. And Victor, you're free to marry a woman who's stolen from both of us, lied to everyone in this room, and committed corporate espionage. I handed the signed papers to the officiant. Please ensure these get filed properly. Emma's waited so long for her freedom. Emma was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. You've ruined everything. No, sweetheart, you ruined everything. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it. I turned to Victor. The flash drive contains everything you'll need for the FBI investigation. Emma's been very thorough in documenting her crimes, almost like she wanted to get caught. Victor pocketed the drive without a word. As for the wedding, I addressed the crowd, I encourage you all to stay for the reception. The food's already paid for. With my money, of course. And it would be a shame to waste it. I straightened my tie and smiled at Emma one last time. Thank you for showing me who you really are. It's the most honest you've ever been. The silence followed me as I walked back down the aisle. Behind me, I heard Victor's voice, cold and final. This wedding is over. Security,
Please escort everyone out." Emma's sobs echoed through the ballroom as I reached the doors, the sound of a woman who'd played too many games and finally lost. I stepped into the lobby just as police sirens wailed in the distance. Victor worked fast. Emma's corporate espionage charges wouldn't wait for her honeymoon. The valet brought my car around, the same vintage Mustang Emma had tried to steal in the divorce. I tipped him well and drove away from the Grand Metropolitan, leaving behind the wreckage of Emma's carefully constructed lies. In my rearview mirror, I watched police cars pull up to the hotel entrance. Emma had wanted closure. She'd gotten it, along with a federal investigation, a humiliated billionaire ex-fiancé, and 200 witnesses to her downfall. I drove toward my empty house, no longer bitter about going home alone.
Some victories were worth celebrating in solitude. 3 hours later, I sat in my kitchen with a bourbon and the evening news. The anchor's voice was professional, but couldn't hide her excitement. Socialite wedding turns into FBI arrest as bride faces federal charges of corporate espionage and fraud. The footage showed Emma in handcuffs, her wedding dress bunched around her ankles as agents led her from the hotel. Victor walked behind them, his face stone, flanked by his lawyers. The crowd of wedding guests stood frozen on the sidewalk, their phones capturing every moment for social media.
My doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Jessica holding takeout bags and wine. "Figured you might need company," she said when I opened the door. "Mom's losing her mind, but I brought Chinese food and Cabernet." We settled at my kitchen table, the same one where I'd discovered Emma's betrayal just hours ago. Jessica poured wine while I muted the television.
"The FBI called Mom 20 minutes ago," Jessica said quietly. "Emma's been charged with wire fraud, money laundering, and violation of the Economic Espionage Act. Bail set at $2 million.
"Victor's not posting it?"
"Victor's filing a civil suit for damages. His lawyers estimate Emma cost him $40 million in lost deals and compromised negotiations." Jessica shook her head. "Noah, how long did you know?"
3 weeks, since I followed her to that hotel meeting with Archer. "Why didn't you stop her sooner?" I sipped my bourbon, considering. Because I needed her to finish what she started. If I'd exposed her earlier, she could have claimed it was a misunderstanding, that she was gathering information to help Victor. But letting her complete the transactions, letting her steal from both of us systematically, that created an undeniable pattern. Jessica stared at me. "You orchestrated this?" "All of it." "Emma orchestrated it. I just made sure the right people found out at the right time." My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Thomas Archer. We need to talk. Meet me at Riverside Cafe tomorrow, 10 a.m. Come alone." I showed Jessica the message. Her eyes widened. "The man Emma was selling secrets to? Why would he want to meet you?" "Because Emma's arrest just exposed his involvement too. He's probably trying to minimize his own liability." The news switched to a commercial, and I unmuted it just as my neighbor knocked on the back door. Mrs. Henderson, 73, and sharper than most people half her age. "Noah, dear, I hope you don't mind the intrusion, but there are reporters on your front lawn." Through the kitchen window, I saw news vans parked across the street. Camera crews were setting up on the sidewalk. "They've been there since 5 o'clock, Mrs. Henderson continued, asking questions about you and Emma. I told them you were a lovely, quiet neighbor who minded his own business." "Thank you, Mrs. Henderson." After she left, Jessica and I watched through the blinds as reporters interviewed anyone willing to talk. The mailman, the jogger who passed by twice daily. Even Mr. Patterson from 3 houses down, who'd never spoken to me in 5 years of living here. "This is insane," Jessica muttered. "You're going to be famous for destroying your own wife." "Ex-wife," I corrected. "As of this afternoon." My lawyer called at 8 p.m. Robert Kane, a family attorney who'd handled my parents' estate and my house purchase. His voice was carefully neutral. "Noah, I need to ask directly. Did you know about Emma's criminal activities before today?" "I discovered them 3 weeks ago." And you didn't report them immediately because I was gathering evidence to protect myself. Emma had systematically stolen my assets through the divorce proceedings. I needed proof that she'd acted in bad faith. That's actually brilliant legal strategy. By documenting her ongoing criminal behavior during the divorce process, you've invalidated every financial agreement she negotiated. The court will reverse all asset transfers. Relief flooded through me. Everything? The house, the savings, your car collection, all of it. Plus, Emma's arrest triggers the morality clause in your prenuptial agreement. She forfeits any claim to marital assets if convicted of felony fraud. I'd forgotten about the morality clause. Emma had insisted on the prenup, claiming it protected both our interests. Another irony in a day full of them. At 9 p.m., Victor called. "Noah, this is Victor Blackwood. I owe you an apology and an explanation." "You don't owe me anything." "I do. I pursued a married woman, even after she told me about your separation. I believed her story about an amicable divorce, about you being supportive of her. Moving on, I was a fool." His voice carried genuine regret. "My attorneys reviewed the evidence you provided. Emma stole proprietary information worth approximately $53 million. Without your intervention, she would have crippled my company." "What happens now?" "Criminal prosecution, civil recovery, and a very expensive lesson about trusting the wrong person." Victor paused. "Emma claims she was manipulated by Archer, that she never intended to cause real harm. She's trying to negotiate a plea bargain." "Will she get one?" "Not likely. The FBI has recordings of her offering additional information to Archer in exchange for ongoing payments. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a sustained criminal enterprise." After Victor hung up, I sat alone in my kitchen, finally processing the magnitude of what had happened. This morning I'd been a betrayed husband signing divorce papers. Tonight, I was the key witness in a federal espionage case. Jessica returned from walking around the block, avoiding the reporters. "Noah, I need to ask you something, and I want an honest answer." "Okay. Do you still love her?" I considered the question seriously. The woman I'd married 3 years ago, kind, ambitious, full of dreams, had she ever really existed? Or had Emma always been capable of this level of deception, and I'd simply been too trusting to see it? "I loved who I thought she was," I said, finally. "But that person was a fiction. The real Emma was calculating enough to marry me for financial security while planning her exit strategy. She's the same person who smiled at our wedding, knowing she'd eventually steal everything I owned. That's not an answer." "No, Jess. I don't love her. I haven't loved her since I realized how completely she'd fooled me." My phone rang again, Emma's number. I almost declined, then decided to answer. "Noah?" Her voice was small, defeated. "I'm allowed one phone call before they transfer me to federal holding." "Congratulations on your marriage." "Please don't be cruel. I know you hate me, but—" "I don't hate you, Emma. Hate requires caring, and I stopped caring about you the moment I saw those bank records." She was crying. "I never meant for it to go this far. It started small, just taking photos of a few documents. Archer said it was market research, nothing harmful. Then it became $50,000. Then it became stealing my assets. Then it became corporate espionage. When exactly were you planning to stop?" "After the wedding, I was going to stop after I married Victor." "You were going to keep stealing from your new husband?" The silence stretched long enough that I thought she'd hung up. "I was scared," she whispered finally. "Scared of being poor again. Scared of not being enough. Victor's world is so different from ours, Noah. I thought if I could just accumulate enough money, enough security, I could be worthy of it." "So you decided to steal your way into worthiness." "I know how it sounds. I know I hurt you, betrayed you, destroyed everything good between us. But I loved you once, Noah. That was real. Maybe it was, but it wasn't enough to stop you from destroying me to get what you wanted.
The line went quiet, except for her breathing. "The agents are coming back," she said. "I have to go."
Emma? Yes? I hope prison gives you time to figure out who you really want to be. I hung up and turned off my phone.
I arrived at Riverside Cafe 15 minutes early, choosing a corner table with clear sightlines to both entrances. Thomas Archer walked in precisely at 10 a.m. Tall, silver-haired, expensive suit undermined by nervous energy. He spotted me immediately and approached with the cautious steps of a man walking into unknown territory. "Mr. Cole." He extended his hand. I didn't take it. "Mr. Archer, you have 10 minutes before I call the FBI and report this meeting." He sat across from me, his confidence evaporating. "I think there's been a misunderstanding about my relationship with Emma." The $50,000 misunderstanding, or the corporate espionage misunderstanding? Archer's jaw tightened. "Emma approached me 6 months ago with information about Blackwood Industries. She claimed to have legitimate access through her marketing work and offered to share competitive intelligence. I thought it was standard industry practice." Standard practice to pay married women for their husbands' lovers' business secrets? I didn't know about her personal relationships. She presented herself as a single professional looking to supplement her income. I leaned back, studying him. "What do you want, Archer?" "Protection. Cooperation. Emma's trying to blame me for everything, claiming I manipulated her into stealing information. My lawyers say your testimony could determine whether I face criminal charges or just civil liability." "And in exchange?" "I'll testify that Emma was the instigator, that she offered the information voluntarily and pushed for larger payments. I have recordings of our conversations. She was far more sophisticated than she's pretending." I sipped my coffee, letting him sweat. "You recorded her?" "Business insurance. Emma was offering information too valuable and too detailed for someone in her position to access legitimately. I suspected she was stealing it, but the advantage was too significant to ignore." "So you knowingly bought stolen corporate secrets?" "I bought what I was told was legally obtained competitive intelligence." His eyes hardened. "Emma Cole is not the innocent victim she's portraying. She contacted me, not the other way around. She set the prices, demanded the payments in cryptocurrency, even suggested ways to hide the transactions." This was new information. She structured the money laundering? Down to the last detail. Emma researched offshore banking laws, cryptocurrency exchanges, shell company formations. This wasn't a desperate woman making bad choices. This was a criminal mastermind building an empire. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Repeat that. All of it." Archer hesitated, then spoke clearly into the device, detailing Emma's sophisticated criminal operation. When he finished, I saved the file and sent copies to Victor's legal team and the FBI agent handling Emma's case. "There," I said. "Your cooperation is documented. The FBI will probably offer you immunity in exchange for testimony." Relief flooded his face. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Thank Emma for being greedy enough to record her own crimes." I stood to leave, then paused. "One more thing, Archer. Emma didn't just steal from Victor and me. She stole from you too." "What do you mean?" "Half the information she sold you was fabricated. Emma created fake documents, false merger plans, fictional acquisition targets. You paid $50,000 for corporate intelligence that was mostly fiction." His face went white. "That's impossible. We verified the information through our sources." "Which sources? The ones Emma probably fed information to first, creating a loop of false confirmation?" I smiled. "Emma played everyone, Archer, including you." I left him sitting there, staring at his coffee like it might contain answers. The drive home took me past the courthouse, where Emma's hearing was scheduled for noon. Media vans lined the street, reporters interviewing anyone with an opinion about the wedding day spy scandal, as they dubbed it. My phone rang. Victor.
Noah, my security team found something interesting in Emma's office. A second laptop hidden in a locked drawer. It contains communications with at least 4 other companies, all competitors of mine. Emma wasn't just working with Archer. She was running an entire espionage network. How long? 18 months. She's been systematically targeting every major deal my company pursued, selling information to multiple bidders to drive up her prices. The magnitude hit me. Victor, that means Emma's been planning this since before she met me. You were never the main target, Noah. You were just convenient cover while she built her criminal enterprise. After hanging up, I sat in my driveway processing this revelation. Emma hadn't fallen into crime through weakness or desperation. She'd engineered her entire life around it, including our marriage. My doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Jessica with an older woman I didn't recognize. "Noah, this is Linda Hartwell from the U.S. Attorney's Office," Jessica said when I opened the door. "She wants to discuss your witness testimony." Linda was professional and direct. "Mr. Cole, your ex-wife's case has expanded beyond simple corporate espionage. We're now investigating a multi-company conspiracy involving approximately $200 million in stolen intellectual property." $200 million? Emma Cole appears to have been the central coordinator of the largest corporate espionage ring we've encountered. We need your cooperation to understand how she operated and who else might be involved. The next 2 hours were spent detailing everything I knew about Emma's activities, her sudden wealth, her mysterious meetings, her changed behavior patterns. Linda recorded every word. "One final question, Mr. Cole. Emma claims she was blackmailed into continuing her activities after the initial theft, that someone threatened to expose her unless she expanded her operations. Do you have any knowledge of such threats?" I thought carefully. Emma was never threatened by anyone. She was motivated by greed and ambition, nothing more. If she claims otherwise, she's lying to reduce her sentence. Linda nodded. "That's consistent with our other findings. Thank you for your cooperation." After she left, I walked through my house, the house Emma had tried to steal, now legally mine again. The silence felt different than it had yesterday. Not empty, but peaceful. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Catherine Mills, investigative reporter for Channel 7. Your story is inspiring victims of financial fraud to come forward. Would you consider an interview?" I deleted the message without responding. Emma's story belonged in courtrooms, not on television. That evening, I sat on my back porch with a beer, watching the sunset paint my garden golden. Mrs. Henderson appeared at the fence with fresh tomatoes from her garden. "All that excitement over now, dear?" "Just beginning, actually. The trial will probably last months." "Good. That woman deserves everything she gets." Mrs. Henderson's eyes twinkled. "Though I have to say, Noah, what you did at that wedding was magnificent. My book club has been talking about it all week." After she left, I called Jessica. "How are you holding up?" she asked. "Better than I expected. You know what's strange? I'm not angry anymore. Watching Emma's world collapse, seeing her schemes exposed, it's almost sad. She had everything she needed to be happy, but it was never enough." "Any regrets about exposing her?" I considered the question as a cardinal landed in my maple tree. Only one. I regret not seeing who she really was sooner. But then again, if I had, she might have destroyed other people instead. 3 months later, Emma was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Victor's company recovered and expanded. Thomas Archer testified for the prosecution and received probation. I kept the signed divorce papers framed in my office, not as a reminder of betrayal, but as proof that sometimes the best gift you can give someone is exactly what they ask for, even when they don't realize it will destroy them.